from WFAN and Oh the Pain podcast. My friend Joe Benigno once again back for maybe about I would say I've had you on this program maybe 8 or 10 times.
Is it that many? It's a few. There's no doubt about it. Anytime for
We've
you,
been I
Ralph.
got
You
to
know
put you
that.
louder though. I got to get that. Okay, here we go. All righty. Well, how's everything? By the way,
Good.
you hitting them well. You're on the
I'm
course
not
or
hitting
what?
anything. I'm not where you are, so I'm not hitting anything. The last time I played I played the day before Thanksgiving. It was actually 60 degrees up here, and
Yeah.
that looks like the end of the road because today it's beautiful out. I did my walk, but it's about 38 degrees.
I forgot about it, but around here, Joe, it was shocking. I went out this morning,
Right?
39 degrees,
Wow.
39
But
degrees in Florida.
what is it now, though?
Now it's not that, it's maybe 50.
Yeah. Wow. Well, you're up north
That's
though. You're up in the northern part, so it's a little different. You're not down in South Beach.
still in all. When I was a kid, I thought Florida 80 degrees all the
Right.
time
Right.
until I came.
Right.
Then I realized
Right.
different parts and the time change.
Yeah. I never knew that until recently either. That is, I never knew that the Panhandle was actually in Central Time. But you learn something every day, Ralph.
That's true. I came down here with the watch. I said my watch is broken,
Right.
but then they filled me in.
Yep.
All right. Well, I want to start with one thing. Let's start with sports.
Hmm.
Let's talk about the great winning streak that the Jets are on. How many in a row? One,
Well,
two.
they won 3 of 5. They won two in a row. They lost the next two, and they won this past Sunday. So they're 3-2 in their last 5 games after the
And
wonderful
I
0 and
saw
7
the
start.
pain. I saw that you're happy.
I'm very happy with. You know what? I this is the best I've felt about the organization in a long time. They have put themselves in a tremendous position with these trades. The Source Gardner trade to me, we're going to look back, I think, one day and say, man, it really changed the franchise. You got two number ones and this kid Mitchell, the wide receiver, who really looks good. He had a great game last week against Atlanta. And then you look at the other trade for Quinn Williams, who's actually playing well now for the Cowboys. Sauce actually got hurt last week for the Colts, but
Hmm.
they get a 1 and a 2 for Williams. Bro, they got two number ones and two number twos in this coming draft. They got three number ones next year. They have put themselves in position to really do something here, and certainly. No matter where they finish, and I want to win games. They got 5 games left to win as many games as you can. Forget the draft position; that's nonsense. And with all the draft capital they have, they're going to be able to move up and get the quarterback they want. I don't think there's
That
any
was
doubt.
my next question. You think that's going to happen?
Yes, I do. I absolutely do. I think
Wow.
that's exactly what their game plan is. Right now, you look at the Tennessee Titans, they got the first pick in the draft. I don't know when they're winning any games, and they got a quarterback in Cam Ward. Now, he hasn't played well, but he doesn't have a team around him. The Giants, I think, right now would be the second pick, and they got a quarterback. So, who knows how it's going to play out. I feel good about them. The coach is starting to grow. They play hard for him. And, like I said, this general manager, they got 4 guys that they drafted this year that are all starting for them right now. I love the trade with the Colts. They even got this receiver, Mechie, they got from the Eagles for Michael Carter. Looks like the GM has an idea what he's doing. And I'm confident he's going to, find me that quarterback and get it done with these draft picks. So I think they're in a very good situation, bro. The best they've been in for a long time. I really
Hey,
believe that.
I'm so glad to see you feeling good about your team. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well,
although
like I
people
said,
people people actually like it, Joe, when you don't feel when you scream and
right.
yell, they like that a lot better. But I like to see you feeling good about your team. That's good.
Well, like I said, I mean, look, they're 3-9. I mean, I don't want to get crazy about what their record is, but the bottom line is they put themselves, like I said, Ralph, in a position to really change I hate to use the word culture, I don't like it, but to
Yeah.
change the losing atmosphere that has surrounded this team for, the better part now of, almost 15 years. So, and longer than that, but, since the Rex Ryan days, we'll go back to Rex Ryan,
Yeah.
so, we'll see. We'll see. But I feel pretty good about him. I got to tell you. I really do.
How many of these goofballs tell you they should tank?
Yeah, it's nonsense,
That
Ralph.
is the worst. How do you go into a football? First
Right.
of all, it's dangerous to even think that. You got to go all out on the football field. It's too dangerous a game to ever think about tanking. But the way they would tank, they'd probably keep out some players and
Well,
here and
that's
there.
it. The players don't tank. It would be the
Right.
organization
It's the
that
coach.
tanks.
It's the
Right.
personnel that they
Right.
put on the field. Yeah.
Right. But they're playing for this guy. This team, like I said, Rob, this is a young team. Okay, obviously they got a 36-year-old quarterback right now in Taylor, but he's only a stop. He's one of those, as Bill Parcells used to say all the time. He's a hold the fort guy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Until they get to where they need to be. He should have been starting earlier. They would have won a couple more games than they have. But be that as it may, you need to learn how to win. Aaron Glenn is really trying to build something here. And losing every game isn't building it. Especially when you're talking about guys who are going to a lot of these guys. Most of this team's going to be here next year. Young guys that are going to be on the team next year. They need to start learning how to win. And we're seeing that. And they play very hard for this coach, which I think is probably the most important thing. I really think that.
Yeah. Yeah. And you had mixed feelings the last time we got together. But now I see you're more positive about the
Yes.
coach I'm talking.
Yes.
And
yes.
I like the guy, but he doesn't have to play a tough guy with the media. He doesn't have to
Right.
go through all
Well, I
that. I
think
don't.
you know what
I
though,
think
Ralph.
he's taken it out a bit. He's softened a little bit.
I think he's learning.
Yeah.
I think he was a little defensive early on. The team wasn't winning, and he was getting beat down. Which you're going to get. If you're not winning, even if you're a first year head coach. And I think he was being a little too defensive. I think he's starting to feel a lot better about himself, and I think he's lightened up a lot with the media. And winning will do that. All of a sudden, you're winning some games. So he's learning. He's learning on the job. He's learning on the job. He's going to be here, Ralph. He's going to be here for the next couple of years. There's no doubt about it. He's going to be here through the draft process and through getting this quarterback, whoever it turns out to be. But I'm seeing signs. There's definitely progress being made right now, no doubt.
I see a quarterback in the future. I can see that happening. I wanted
Yeah.
to ask
Oh
you
yeah.
about it, but I can see that happening. And I also like the guy. I like the guy from day one. For some reason, I just like the
Mm-hmm.
guy. And even now, he's kind of coming around, like you said before. And there's no doubt about it. The whole attitude is a little bit different. And it's little steps, Joe. With
Yeah.
this team,
Of
it's got to
course.
be little steps. You can't expect to skyrocket
No.
immediately.
This franchise has been in the shit for so long. It's not going to happen overnight. But we're seeing, like I said, we're seeing progress. And look, Glenn was a very good player for the Jets. He was a solid, was a really good player for them for 8 years. He learned under Bill Parcells. He was there for when it was terrible with Richie Kotite, and he was there for the good times with Bill. That's his mentor. And like I said, I'm seeing progress. And the fact that they have set themselves up with all these draft choices, that's how you win in the NFL, bro. You win in the NFL through the draft. You don't win through free
Yeah.
agency or trades that you supplement with those. You got to win through the draft. Build your champions build through the draft. And that's what they're setting themselves up to do. So I think they're in a very good position. Now they gotta execute and they got to pick the right people, no doubt.
Here's what disappointed me, Joe. Around the Citi Field area, where you and I said they should have a stadium, the
Yeah.
casino is just as good as going up. They actually
Oh
just
yeah, no,
about
it's happening.
confirmed the whole thing.
It's happening.
Think
I
about
know.
how great they put a stadium right next to Citi Field,
No
and you
question.
got the Mets, you got the Mets here, you have the Jets over here. That's a paradise for the sports fan. But
Yeah.
instead, the casino, because this guy wants a casino, the
Well,
casino's going up. What do you think
yeah.
about that whole situation?
What I think about it is that look, he just better sign Pete Alonso and Edwin Diaz. And that's what I've been saying all along about Steve Cohen and this. I don't like the GM Stearns. This was his game plan all along. To get rid of the chop shops and to build these casinos. So, look, I wish he owned the Jets. Who knows? Maybe someday he will buy them. I doubt that probably won't happen in my lifetime, but that's where they belong. They belong right next to the Mets. The Mets and the Jets belong. We should have our own stadium. You want to call it Leon Hess Stadium? Have a statue of Joe Namath outside? We should. But unfortunately, that's been an issue for this franchise forever because we've never had our own stadium. Never.
How about the Nimmo thing?
Doesn't like it at all. It's not that I minded. Look, Nimmo's a homegrown man. I like him, solid player. I didn't like who they traded him for. They traded him for a guy 3 years older than him, okay? Who, had 100 point less OPS. Everybody gets crazy about OPS. His OPS was 100 points lower than Nimmo. Nimmo had 30 more RBIs than this guy. He hit like 10 more home runs. Well, I didn't like it. I mean, you're telling me this guy's this, he's a great defensive player. I mean, come on, was he, Ryan Sandberg at second base? I mean, give me a break. I didn't like it at all. I did not like that trade. I have to, again, if you traded Nimmo, let's say for a solid starting pitcher, Ralph, something like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
okay, I get that. But not for this guy. This it made no sense to me at all. None. I
Well,
didn't like it.
the guy's
Typical
past
Stern.
his prime. The guy's 35 years
Right.
old.
Right.
So was it a money? Was it a
And Ralph,
money thing?
look at his offensive numbers. They're going down every year.
Yeah.
You know?
He's declining. He's declining like a 35-year-old does.
Right. That's right. That's right.
And what about the money thing? Is that why
well,
they
I
want
mean,
to pay
he's got
this guy?
apparently Simeon's got what, 3 years and 70 million left on his deal. And I think Nimmo has 5 years and like 100 million left on his deal. So, in the short term, it's less money. Look, this guy's got a ton of money. Let's be honest. And he's going to have even more with these casinos. Go out there, you sign this guy, Devin Williams, which to me, you gave this guy this, second-rate relief pitcher who had a rough time with the Yankees, gave up that big home run to Pete 2 years ago when he was with Milwaukee. You gave this guy 3 years and $51 million, which I think is absurd. Look, if they signed him to be the setup man for Diaz, okay.
Yeah.
All right, okay. Because I don't like relief pitchers anyway, but he's okay. Then I can live with it. If you sign this guy, he's going to be our closer because you're not signing Diaz. Now you're talking about something else again.
Here's something. They say this team does not get along. They say there's backbiting in the clubhouse.
Right,
They don't see eye to eye
That's what
all
we've
the
heard.
time.
Right.
I would hearken back to the 72 Oakland A's.
No
I'd go back
question.
to the 84 Padres. I go back to the 86 Mets.
Yeah. How about
And
the
you could
Yankees?
pick
How
a
about
team that
Reggie and
wins that didn't
Thurman?
get along.
Hold on. Reggie and Thurman in the 77,
That's
78
right.
Yankee. Reggie came to the Yankees. He said, I'm the straw that stirs the drink. Thurman didn't like it, wasn't happy about it. They were, they had a circus with Billy Martin, and they won 2 championships in a row. So you're right.
It means next to nothing.
It means absolutely nothing. And look, apparently Lindor and Soto, I don't know if they don't get along. They didn't do much talking. Who knows what the deal is? I don't really care, bro. All I want to do is win. That's it. And you don't have to be. It doesn't have to be kumbaya, as we just pointed out different examples. Doesn't have to be kumbaya in the clubhouse to win championships.
It's actually more exciting when something's going on. They don't like each other. I used to like the fact that Nettles and Reggie didn't get along. It brought a little spice to the whole thing. I liked it.
Of course. And all they did was win. And Ralph, what did they do? All they did was win. Right.
That's right.
And that's the Reggie Jackson was on the Oakland A's team too, like you said, 72 to 74 with Catfish and Bando and Holtzman and Raleigh Fingers, all these guys, right? Campanaris, Joe Rudy, and they fought all the time too. And the common denominator there, of course, is Reggie, but all they did was win. So between those two teams, he won 5 championships. So, it doesn't matter if you love look at all the crap with Billy Martin and Reggie. I can see him now going out to right field at Fenway and pulling him off the freaking field, and Elston Howard having to separate the two of them from swinging at each other. And by the end of the year, Reggie's hitting 3 home runs in Game 6 of the World Series, and Billy's, humping him in the dugout. Right? You know what I mean? Right?
Just about. They thrived all that stuff.
They
thrived it. It seemed to make them play better.
That's right.
That's just the way things went. I used to love that. I can't say I love the Yankee team, but I still love the dynamic between those guys.
Yeah.
But even though I was a Met fan, very jealous. Very jealous.
Bro, the Bronx Zoo. They were the Bronx Zoo. And it was insanity, and they had all these crazy personalities, and all they did was win. So,
Yeah. And the Yankees, for a quick second, they say that these things that go on there about the saving money and not going over the cap and so on and so forth. What do you see about the Yankees coming up?
Well, you know what? I think that Steinbrenner, Hal's got to start spending money here. I mean, come on, he needs to re-sign Bellinger. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Probably needs another guy too another bat that they could use. Third base has been an issue for them for a while. I know they got the guy from McMahon from Colorado, who was pretty good for him, but they need a closer too. I mean, this Bednar. I mean, do you have that much confidence in him? I don't know. I don't know. It's not the same anyway. See, unfortunately, it's not the same without George. George was about winning championships all the time. This guy, he wants to win, but it's more about making money in the Yankee brand. And he's happy. Look, if they're in the playoffs every year, he's happy. They don't win a championship. Okay,
Yeah.
like last year, they made it to the playoffs. They lost to Toronto. 2 years ago, they went to the World Series. They haven't won for the Yankees. It's an eternity. 2009 is an eternity. But this guy, he's about the Yankee brand and making money. And, winning championships to me for Hal Steinbrenner is not the end all be all.
That is such a shame. I hate to think that he thinks that way.
But I think
you're probably
it's
right,
obvious.
but I hate to think. It's really terrible because it's more fun winning
Yeah. Well, they're winning, but they're
for the
not winning
Yankees
championships. You know what I mean, Ralph?
Well, I get you. I get you. They're always in the hunt.
Right.
But the thing is, the whole knock on those guys, they don't win the big one. They haven't won.
Right.
Has it been 2009?
Yeah. 09. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the last
2009.
time.
Yeah. And I enjoy when the Yankees lose as much as any Met fan, but it's always a little more exciting when they win ball games and they actually win the World Series. If the Mets can't do it, let the Yankees win the World Series. I don't give a shit. But
I don't know if I agree with that, but I'll say this:
when you think about it, if the
don't
Mets
lose
are
to the Dodgers, Ralph, that like they
Okay.
did. If you're gonna lose, don't lose to the freaking Dodgers. Okay.
Okay. All right. The Knicks played a faulty game last night against the Celtics.
Lost to the Celtics. Yeah.
Wait, did you see the game?
Bits and pieces. You know what? Look. Here's my feeling on the Knicks. They're 13-7. They're going to win 50-something games. There's no doubt. It's all about winning in the playoffs, bro. That's it. I mean, we know how good they are. We know they're a good team. Now it's time to win a championship. They haven't won a championship since 1973. This is all window dressing. The regular season to me, especially when you got a good team like the Knicks are. It's one thing if you're a team, if you were a team like the Nets or that kind of a team, just getting to the playoffs would be a big deal. So the regular season means a lot more. A team like the Knicks, it really doesn't. Because like I said, they're going to win their 50-something games. And now, okay, well, what do you do in the playoffs? And history tells me that somewhere along the line in the playoffs, they're going to lose a brutal game somewhere to somebody, whoever it is, Indiana, Boston, the Detroit Pistons. They look very good. They gave the Knicks all they wanted last year in that first round playoff series. Miami, Orlando were playing well. Somebody's going to get them. And unfortunately, until I see differently, that's how I believe. So I can't get excited really until the playoffs for the Knicks. That's when the season really starts.
I heard Clyde last night talk about the 73 Knicks.
Yep.
And I never hear him bring it up. And he said something about the 52 years. And I said to myself, I got to ask Joe tomorrow because the fact is that I can't get over that it's been 52 years since a championship, but yet Madison Square Garden was always thought to be the Mecca, the center of basketball.
Yep.
But frankly, Joe, it's really not. I mean, these guys do well elsewhere. They don't want to come to New York the way they wanted to come to New York in the past.
Yeah, no, I look, I think it's a joke they call it the Mecca. I mean, when you haven't won it, then the Mecca of basketball is either Boston, Boston Garden, or whatever the new place is now, or LA. I mean, those are the two teams that have dominated, now Golden State recent times, but for the last 50 years, I mean, it's the Lakers and the Celtics. I mean, it's pretty much been them. So, I agree. I agree. I think it's very overrated, the Mecca. I think a lot of it has to do with college basketball and how big college basketball was in the old days at the Garden, when the NIT actually meant something, when the NIT was like on a par of the NCAA tournament, which of course there's no way that's the case anymore. So I agree. It should not be called the Mecca. Not anymore.
I just noticed that great picture you have in the background there. Cleon, is that Cleon?
That's the last out of the 69 World Series. That is correct.
Davy Johnson, the Cleon Jones down on one knee, just about right by the 371 mark. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I hadn't noticed that. I just looked up. I just saw it.
Yeah, well, normally I do the podcast and my Oda Pain podcast from in front of my jet stuff down here.
Yeah.
But today I did a podcast with John Heyman of the Post, which was baseball, mostly about the Mets. So I moved the area here to be in front of the Cleon Jones. The picture next to that is actually Doc Gooden. is the one next
Oh
to him.
yeah, the great Doc Gooden.
Yeah, next to him.
If it wasn't for all his problems, you'd be looking at one of the best pitchers of all time right
No,
there.
there's
If
no
you
doubt
want it
about it.
for longevity,
No doubt
it's really
about
a
it.
shame.
Yeah.
I wonder where he is these days. Have you heard from him recently? I
Well,
don't
he's
mean
around. I mean,
personally,
you
but
got the Mets
he's around.
retired his number a couple of years ago. Same thing with Darryl. You see him. I mean, I've seen him. Do different shows with SNY. Different guys playing today, talking to Doc. So he's around. He's
Recently,
hanging in there. He's hanging in.
recently you saw this?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yes,
good,
yeah,
good, 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 good. I'm glad to hear
yes.
that. Glad to hear that. Let's talk about the Rangers for a minute.
Hmm.
You take it away. You take it away with that team.
Uh, they had a nice win last night. A real good win actually against the Dallas Stars, who were a good team at the go. They had all kinds of trouble winning at home. They've only won 3 games at home. They've won like 10 games on the road. I mean, they're 14, 12, and 2, I believe is the record. They got 30 points. And of those 14 wins, 11 of them have been on the road. They won last night. They were down 2-1 in the closing minute. They pulled the goalie. Will Cooley tied the game with the empty net, 2-2, and then they won it in overtime. Look, the Rangers are in a situation where just get in the playoffs. That's the
Yeah.
situation they're in. Again, the regular season. So their regular season is a lot more meaningful than the Knicks is to me. Because it's about the playoffs for the Rangers. So we'll see. It's early in the year. These seasons, this, Ralph. 82 games and NHL, NBA. It's much too long. Much too long. No
Yeah,
doubt.
it's a money grab. They'll never
Yep.
change. It's a money
Never
grab.
change.
They
Never
act like
change.
they care about the football players, yet they increase the schedule.
Right. That's right. And eventually it's going to go to 18 games. You know that. It's only a matter
yeah,
of
it's a round number. They want one more game.
Yeah,
they're going to do it. They're definitely going to do it.
no
And
question.
that's a shame because these guys get clobbered. I mean, 18 games is a little ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah. Well, not many guys play 18 games anymore. I'll tell you that, or 17 games anymore.
That's true. Well, that's true.
Not many.
We talked about just for a quick second. We talked about the last time. I got some feedback on it. The way basketball is played, it's hardly recognizable. You can't even. I saw a game 25 years ago, 30 years ago. It's so different from just 30 years ago, Joe.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the 70s. This game is played so differently than any other game.
Well,
I think it's changed more than any other game, Joe.
Well, I call it, and you could say this about just about all the sports. I call it the pussification of the NBA.
Don't touch the other guy.
Don't touch the other guy. The days of the hard foul, man. When I was growing up, especially the 80s and the 90s. I mean, when you watch the Celtics and the Lakers, man, these were wars. They used to beat the crap out of each other. You look at that 84 championship series, that great series with Boston and the Lakers. Boston won it in 7. You had that moment which turned the whole series around when Kevin McHale basically tackled Kurt Rambis in LA. I mean, and didn't even get ejected from the game. You had the bad boys, the Piston bad boys, right? The Jordan rules. They used to beat Jordan up. Before he started winning championships, he had to get through the Pistons. They used to beat the crap out of him. They won the 2 championships. And even the Bulls, even the Jordan, man, that was physical basketball. Those Knicks teams. How about the Knicks against the Bulls, the Heat, the Pacers? These games were 80-78. If you had a game where one of the teams scored 90 points, Ralph, that was a high scoring game.
That was an offensive output there. No, but you're so right. And people would complain back then, Joe. They'd complain. They'd say this is not basketball. I say what's going on right now is not basketball.
Now it's
there has to be a happy medium. Maybe it was a little bit too hands on back in the hand checking, a little much maybe. I didn't really enjoy some of those games, but overall that resembled basketball more than shooting 3-pointer after 3-pointer after 3-pointer.
Yeah, not the no layup rule, right? That was
right.
Pat Riley used to talk about. You're going down the lane, you're going to pay a price. Now if you do that, you're suspended for 5 games. I mean, it's and it's all about the 3-point. It's all about the 3-point shot, Ralph. I mean, come on, give me a break.
And that was that they penetrate, kick it back out, 3-pointer.
Yeah.
I mean, the high percentage shot is out. That just it's about volume. It's about shooting the most and getting the most shots on the hoop. And that's what it becomes. It just becomes don't worry about defense. Just get off, get back down the court and get off your shot. That's what it becomes.
Yep.
Oh, well, well, well. Let's go into the transition now. The real things that bother us throughout the
Right. Right.
throughout the course of days. Let's talk about the real thing now. Okay, I have one for you. I don't think I've ever gotten your take on this guy, not fully anyway. Luigi Mangione. He
Mm.
appears in court. He's a disgrace to all Italians, including myself and to you. I assume. Now he has a cult following, Joe.
I
These
know.
people adore this guy. I'm talking about
Yeah.
young women
No, I know.
wanting
No, I
to
know it.
wanting to
Yeah.
have his baby, wanting to have,
Yep.
just getting
Yep.
into the courtroom, trying to get a glimpse of this guy, so on and so forth. I think it's despicable that he
Yep.
can turn around and shoot a guy in the back.
Yep.
The most
Yep.
cowardly act you could ever
Yep.
do, Joe.
No
And what
question.
does he get for it? He gets praise, but now he's sitting there. Just the whole thing in a nutshell, Joe. What did you glean from this whole thing?
Well, I think it's part of the problem with the society in the country today. They glamorize this guy. I mean, he's a criminal. I mean, I mean, you got. I hate to say this, but I have to say it because it's the truth. You have all these, dizzy, lefty, liberal women. Okay, let's be honest about it. All the women that voted for Mondami. Okay, well, I think the Gen Z women from 18 to 29. I think 81% of them voted for Mondami. You know, and it's a problem. I mean, I think that's a problem, and I think it's a problem too. They just the whole thing that all the defund the police crap, and the fact that you got these AGs and prosecutors and all these people letting these criminals out. The criminal, somebody comes in your home and you shoot them, you're the one that's going to wind up in jail for them
Mm,
coming into your house and you killed the guy. Well, I did it. I'm self-defense in my home.
yeah.
I think that's a big part of it, bro. It's a big part of what's going on today.
Here's the
And
question they never answered, Joe. Here's the
yeah,
one they'd never answer. If this guy was 300 pounds,
right, of
ugly,
course,
ugly,
right.
ugly as sin,
That's the
and he was
bottom line.
some roly-poly guy that did the
Right.
same thing, would he get the
Of
same
course not.
support that he's getting now?
No,
That's how shallow they are.
he's become a sex symbol. There's no doubt about it. No
It was
question
funny.
about
He's
it.
sitting in the McDonald's, Joe. They're looking for him for about 5, 6 days. Some employee from the McDonald's
Mhm.
actually spots him. You know what they spotted? They said, "Well, his face was covered, but I noticed the eyebrows."
Right.
And if I hear one more thing about this guy's eyebrows and face,
Yeah.
it is really. But when it comes down to it, some guy lost his life. He may have, I don't know what
A
he
guy
was.
with a family. A guy with a
Right.
family.
He's got 3 kids, got a
Yeah.
wife, the whole deal. And the guy never stood a chance. The guy just
Never.
shot him right
Well, he never
between the
saw it
shoulder
coming.
blades.
He never even knew what happened to him. Really.
Broad daylight in the
Yep.
morning. It's just unbelievable. And now he's public
He's
hero
a
number one.
celebrity. This kid has become a rock star celebrity. It's despicable, bro. There's no other way to
It's
say it.
unbelievable. And my
Yeah.
Cindy just said he's a coward, and she's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
Hi,
ridiculous.
Cindy.
But I knew where you were coming out on that, but I thought I'd ask you anyway. But
Yeah. Yeah.
boy, oh boy. Now I hear Trump using some, let's say, salty language against Omar, the
Oh, please.
congresswoman,
How is
against these.
this woman should not. Don's 100% right. This woman. You come to this country. I mean, really, we did a favor for her, getting her out of Somalia, right? We bring her here. She winds up. She winds up. First of all, she part of the way she gets here is by marrying her brother. Let's not lose
Yeah, we
sight of
forget
that.
about that. That's
Yeah,
true.
let's not lose sight of that happened. I was reading a column today from Rich Lowry in the New York Post. He's great writer for the Post. She's worth $30 million now, Ralph.
Yeah, yeah,
thirty
I
million
know.
dollars. She came to this country. And you see what's going on now in Minnesota with they're ripping off the taxpayers and all the money that the Somalians are ripping us off for and all it is. But she comes to this country. She's worth $30 million now, whatever it is, and she hates the country. All she does
Yeah,
is tell us how bad it is, right? What a
yeah.
disaster is. She hates Don. I mean, come on. They should get
Hey,
her the hell out of the country.
she walks in a pauper from Somalia, a third
Right,
world hellhole.
right,
I'm
right.
sorry, if you don't like it, go back to your country, which she never will.
Well, she
And
wants to make this
she
much.
walks in,
She
she's
wants to
worth
make
she's you said it,
30
$30
million.
million, Joe.
Bro, can you believe she's worth 30 freaking million dollars? You know?
Uh,
She wants to make the United States. They want the money. They want to come here. They don't want to assimilate to our culture. to our way of life. They don't really want to be Americans. They want to come here. They want to, be the way they are, the same thing, all of that, whatever. They don't want, they don't want to assimilate. They want to live in their own area, whatever it may be. And they want to tell you how bad it is here, right?
Yeah.
They want to rip the country left and right. Meanwhile, they're ripping us off for how much freaking money? Where you
Hey,
getting
you
all
know
this
something,
damn
Joe?
money?
I used to get mad at my Italian grandmother that came here from Italy and brought little Italy over here. She
Mm-hmm.
never assimilated either. So my
Okay.
people, I used to get angry, but it wasn't on the level today. I mean, it's
But
all
wasn't your
different,
grandmother
different.
happy to be an American, even if she didn't
Well,
speak
I'll tell you
English?
something. She would say, and people are going to hate this, but this is the truth. And my
Okay.
grandmother was born in 1879.
Okay.
She died in 1978. She was
Wow.
one day she was
100 years
one day
old.
short
Right.
of 100, Joe.
Okay.
And she would say, this country is no good, this country. And when she would say that as a kid, I'd get angry. I was a
Good.
12-year-old kid.
Right.
I'd get
Right.
angry. I say, Grandma, you came here. You must. Why are you
Right.
here? Why would you come here? But so even when
I
it's my
think your
own
grandmother,
people,
though, was the exception to the
I give
rule.
her a pass. I give her a
Right.
pass.
I think she was
But
the
but
exception.
but no one wants to assimilate anymore.
Right.
That's the
Right.
problem.
Look at Dearborn, Michigan. Look at that. Look at all
Ah,
the I I don't want to I don't want to call it radical Islam, but has the Islamists that are all living in Dearborn, Michigan. You got the mayor there who's from wherever he's from. I don't know, somewhere in the Middle East, wherever they come from, Lebanon, whatever it is. And he's basically telling people who live there forever to get the hell out. They're playing that prayer music four
yes.
or five times a day. This is Dearborn, Michigan. We're talking about Minnesota with all the Somalians that live there, with Omar and all of that. What's going on here, bro? They got a place down in Texas. I forget the name of it now, where they're trying to have. I know that Greg Abbott, the governor, is trying to prevent this from happening, but some like an area there where they all live. They don't want to assimilate. They all have that Sharia law. You know what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
I mean, what's going on, bro? Well, how about this what do you call this guy from Pakistan, right? That or excuse me, from Afghanistan. Okay, with that going on now, with all the illegals that came in from Afghanistan, with Biden, taking off, leaving Afghanistan the way they did, what a disaster that was, and all these people coming here, they didn't vet any, most of them not vetted correctly for sure, and this guy drove over from the state of Washington to come to
Washington.
D.C. and he shoots these two, you know, uh, National Guard people and killed that
Yeah.
girl. I mean, what is this? And there's more
Yeah,
of them.
this poor girl, 20
There's
years old, Joe.
right, and there's a network of them around. Well, let's be honest, Ralph. This guy's not the only one. They're around. You know what I
Hey, we
mean?
want to tell
They're
the truth.
around.
We were telling the truth here. There's no two ways about it. This is
Yep.
exactly what this guy did. He, for
Yep.
the sole purpose of
Yep.
knocking off a couple of people here, he came all the way with one
Yep.
thing in mind.
Yep.
And this poor girl got her life snuffed out. And the other guy, well, how is that guy? How's
I think he's still
the
alive. I think he's
it's
still in the
fit?
hospital. I
I
think
really
he's
like
in
to see him come around and
serious
be okay.
condition. I think he's in serious condition. Last I heard.
Hmm.
Last I heard. Yeah.
It's just heartbreak. It's just heartbreaking,
Yeah.
Joe.
Yeah. And
And
then
we're
and then what gets me even more ticked off, then they blame Don. Wait a minute. So Don has the National Guard of DC. They don't want to talk, the mainstream media doesn't want to talk about how safe Washington is now. Since he did what he had to do there,
yeah.
forget it. It's a different world. You hear these people talking about it all the time. Even the mayor there, right? Muriel Bowser, even her had to admit that things were better there. By the way, she's not seeking re-election anymore because, she got hit from both sides. But whatever. I mean, that's why they were there, and it's working. You got people in Washington, D.C. walking up to these people and thanking them for being there and taking pictures with them and all. And they want to blame Don, because he had to put them there in the first place because D.C. wasn't safe at all. You know what I mean, Ralph?
No, I mean,
Makes
no
me
doubt
crazy,
about it.
Ralph. You
And
know, you know
and
where
again,
I'm
when
at.
it when
You know where I'm
you,
at.
you know what happens, Joe? It's in the news. Everybody's mourning these two, and then a week passes, 2 weeks pass, we forget about it. On to the next catastrophe, and these are man-made catastrophes. This is not a hurricane. This is a guy with vengeance going to
Right.
do this
A guy
killing,
that
and he
hates
knew
America.
he
A
knew
guy that
exactly
hates
what he was doing.
America and hates
Yeah,
Americans. Okay.
yeah.
That's the bottom
And
line.
and also when I heard about well, back to Mangione for a second. Immediately when he did that, you heard his supporters come out. And now I did a video on the whole topic, and you'd be surprised, Joe. I got about 50 some odd responses. I'd say about 35 of those responses were pro Mangione.
Mm,
That's where we stand now.
right. Well, that's part of the whole situation that's gone on in this country. Making the criminals victims. The criminal now is a victim, and the victim is the one that's you want to put in jail. Like that guy. Thank God he got he got off. But like Daniel Penny in the subway in New York when he saved those people, and he wasn't trying to kill that person. Accidentally he did, and thank God he got away with it because they tried to fry him. They tried to make it like
Oh yeah.
he was the one. You know, he
And
was
by the way,
the
that guy
criminal.
in the subway was going up to people in their faces, saying, "I could kill you
Right,
right now."
right.
What?
That's right.
Thank goodness he was there.
Yeah.
Really, thank
Well, how
goodness he
about
was there.
and how about all these others? How about this guy in North Carolina on the subway, whatever they have there,
Oh,
right? Where he killed that girl, he stabbed that girl and killed her. How about the one on the subway? Where was it that he burned Chicago? Where this guy came up, this piece of crap came up to this girl and burned her. He poured freaking gasoline on her, 26 years old, and lit her on fire. What the hell? What is this, Ralph?
these
What
are
the
people
hell is
coming to
this?
this country. We have no idea who's coming
That's
over.
exactly right. Yep.
There's nothing,
And
anybody can
and
walk
I'm
in
gonna say,
here.
yep, yep. Anybody. Well, not
Mhm.
now. I mean, look, Don
No, I
Don
mean,
shut the
a
border
couple
down.
years ago.
Right. When Biden was here, Don shut the border down. Now he's got to ban at least 19 countries now where he's banned them from coming to the United States. And I think I saw Christy Nome wants to expand it to 30. Okay. That can't
Yeah.
come here, at all. So look, here's the problem. And I'll say it this way. Okay. God forbid the Democrats take power again. Because if they take over again, Ralph, this country is shot. Done. They will let all these illegals in. They want them all here, so they'll all, they'll give them everything for nothing, and they'll vote for the Democrats forever. We'll have no country left, bro. We really
Well,
won't.
you know how the pendulum swings, right? When Gavin Newsom, all his misgivings in California, I mean, he is terrible. He's
Oh,
terrible. I'm
beyond,
sorry,
beyond.
but he's your front runner, and don't be too surprised if he gives whether it be JD Vance, whomever it's going to be. He may give him a run for his money,
Well,
and you may get a Democrat after Trump because
right. That would
things tend to go that way
that
sometimes.
would that would be a disaster. I'm going to tell you right now. And the way the party is going, look, all the juice in the Democratic Party is the radical left. That I mean, thank God they had that special election yesterday in Tennessee in that district in Nashville. Thank God the Republican wound up winning with this. If you saw what that woman was like, oh my God, she
Yeah, I
hates
did. I happened to
Nashville.
see her. Yes, I
Oh my
did.
God, she hates everything about it. Thank God
I know.
thank God this guy's name, I think his name is Van Epps. Thank God he won. Thank God. But that's where the juice is in this party. Mandami, AOC, dizzy crazy Bernie Sanders. That's where all their juice is. Not with Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and these kind of people. As bad as they are. So you know what? And you know what I saw too? I saw actually you're talking about Newsom, as Don calls him, Newt Scum. But you're talking about him. If I'm not mistaken, last that I heard with the polls is that, believe it or not, Kamala is still the front runner for the Democrats,
Really?
which is great. That's tremendous. Let her
Yeah,
be the
she
front
can't
runner.
get beaten. She can't get beaten badly enough, boys.
Right,
She'll. I mean, if she still thinks she has a chance,
right.
although the
She's the
book
loser.
sold pretty well. You wouldn't
Well,
think even the book would sell very well, but the book
uh,
actually sold.
yeah.
But I'm saying that I just if I can put the fortune teller hat on,
All those young liberal girls that brought the book. Anyway, go
all she had to do is be a woman.
ahead.
That's all. Yeah, right. And oh my goodness, but the same ones that are trying to get into court with Mondani,
Mangione.
Mangione.
Yeah.
I keep thinking the guy that played the jazz trumpet back in
Yeah,
the old days,
he just passed
Chuck
away too
Mangione. That's how I
recently.
remember his name.
Chuck Mangione. Yeah.
Yeah, Chuck
He
Mangione.
passed
Yeah,
away recently. Yeah.
he did. He did. He was
Yeah. Yeah.
fantastic. I actually tuned into one of your older Pain. I saw you sing a few tunes from the
Oh yeah.
Temptations.
You never know. You
Nice,
never know when
nice,
I could sing at any time, Ralph. You never know. It's a
nice
lot
job.
more than just there's a lot more in my repertoire than just the Temptations. I can tell you that.
Let me tell you, the man knows his music as well as his sports. That's for
I
sure.
try.
I can't. I don't think I can pull a music reference that could get by you. I'm telling
Well, I mean that you could, I'm sure.
you. But all right, here's one for you. Here's a weird one. Starbucks. Are you a fan?
My granddaughter actually works at Starbucks here in Bergen County here in
All right, I got to
Jersey.
watch what I say then. Okay, your
No, but
granddaughter.
I look. I mean, look. Is Starbucks? Do I look at Starbucks as woke, liberal? Yes. I mean, it comes out of Seattle. That's where they originated and all of that. I mean, you can't get more lefty than Seattle is. Um, yeah. I mean, they were on strike in the city. No, I get where you're coming from with Starbucks. Yes.
Well, yeah, the strike is the thing. Now,
Right.
tell me something, Joe. For pouring coffee, and yeah, it's a little bit of a stressful job, and people are very demanding these days. I get it. I understand it. They're making $18 an hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
18 bucks an
Yeah.
hour.
No. Yeah.
Minimum wage when I worked for minimum wage was maybe $3, but that's a long time ago. But 18 bucks an hour, Joe. And they're saying that the scheduling is terrible. We don't get enough time off,
Well,
and they're
people
out
don't
there
want to
protesting.
work. That's the problem. That's the big problem. And when and the big sell from Mandami. Basically everything for free. You're going to get your grocery store is going to be free. The bus is going to be free. You're going to live in housing is going to be free. This is free. That's free. Everything's free. So nobody wants to. People don't want to work, bro. They don't want to work. How many of these young guys are sitting in their basement, with mommy? They're scared to ask a girl out on a date. Okay, God forbid they do that. If they saw a naked woman, they'd have a heart attack. A naked woman that was actually live in the flesh in front of them.
Oh
They'd have a
yeah,
freaking,
live in the flesh. They'd
not
run
not
the
on
other way.
not on a porno site. I'm not talking about that.
Right, right, right.
I mean, it's a problem, bro. There's a problem.
They
I
don't. They
mean,
don't meet. I used
let's
to meet.
be
I
honest
used to
about it.
meet. You used to meet a girl in the produce section in the supermarket. Maybe you went into you went by the gas station. You saw the girl. You try to pick her up. They don't do it that way anymore,
Yeah,
Joe. If they don't meet on a dating site, they don't meet
right,
anybody,
right.
and they
Yeah.
don't even do that anymore now.
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, it's a part of it is the emasculation of men and the way men, have been, the toxic masculinity thing. Man, I'm proud. Let me tell you something. I am proud to be a toxically masculine man. I can tell you that right now, Ralph.
You should get a T-shirt
I
or
should. I should.
maybe a cap. Toxic masculine
but
man.
I mean, with all the bullshit, they tried to make it like, and especially with the Me Too movement, I got caught a little bit in that too. I don't know if you know the deal. I don't want to get into
I
it,
remember.
but okay, and all that crap, and it makes me laugh though, all that Me Too movement. But it's okay. The same people that'll be sitting there, Me Too, and going after the men and all of this crap, they're the same people who, when men are trying to play in women's sports, they don't say a word about it. Not a word
Well,
about that.
well, think about this, show. There was a time. Maybe now it's softened. A woman has to make the accusation. If
Right.
she made the accusation, whatever you say just goes right out the window. It doesn't matter. She made the accusation. You don't believe the woman? What's wrong with you?
Right.
That
Right.
kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if just a mere accusation can get a guy really
Sure.
in a lot of trouble, where do
Of
we
course.
stand? I mean, it's changed a little bit though now.
It's changed. It's gotten better. It's definitely gotten a lot better. I think, and I think one of the big reasons it got a lot better is because of Don. I mean, really, Trump getting in has changed a lot of that dynamic. I mean, I don't think there's any question about it. As much crap
Do
as
you
he
ever
takes.
feel, Joe, do you ever feel, I know you love the guy. I like the guy too. I came around on the guy
Mm-hmm.
far more than I was maybe even 2 years
Right.
ago.
Right.
Do you ever say to yourself, "Oh, did he have to say that?
Never.
Maybe he didn't have to go that
You know why?
far."
You know why I say that? Because you know why, Ralph? Because all that they have done to this guy, everything that they have tried to do for 10 years to this man, okay? You know what? F everybody. He's got every right to say whatever the hell he wants, as far as I'm concerned. They did everything they could to this guy, from the Russia hoax the stupid, special counsel Robert Mueller. It took forever when they had nothing on the guy at all. The in 96 felonies or whatever. Letitia James, and they had him in court every day for 3 months and all of that garbage. They tried to kill him. Let's be honest about it, okay?
Oh yeah.
Let's be honest. I mean, we still don't really know about this guy Crooks and what really went down in Butler, Pennsylvania. Okay, let's be honest. All right, where was the Secret Service? Where was all of that? I could go on and on. Then they tried to kill him again. Everything they have tried to do to stop this guy, and even now when he's gotten in, all they've tried to do is stop him. They went crazy with the Epstein files, right? For 4 years, they didn't say nothing. When Biden was the president, not a goddamn word about Epstein, because they knew that they had nothing on Don. They knew, because if they did, that would have been out. I mean, they tried to do everything else. You think that wouldn't have been out? Are you kidding me? Right? So then they tried, and so now he gets in, and what happened with Epstein? As soon as the shutdown was over, okay, which was clearly on the Democrats, they finally had to, capitulate, because, it was chaos in the airlines. People weren't getting paid. The people on food stamps weren't getting it. They tried to blame it on the Republicans, but let's be honest, it was all on the Democrats. And as soon as that ended, right, immediately it started coming out about Epstein again, right?
Yeah.
They started coming out with that, right? So they release all the crap. They still have nothing on Don. The way it was, Don basically told Epstein to go F himself. I mean, that's pretty much what happened. Epstein didn't like him. Now we're coming out that Epstein was jealous of Don. Okay. Don told him, like I said, go F himself. And now you're finding out about all these Democrats that were involved. That guy, Larry Summers, right? We could go right on down. That one congresswoman who was where she was in the Bahamas or whatever, she was texting during a meeting of Congress. She was texting with freaking Epstein.
I heard that.
Come on. Well, what are you kidding me? And they got nothing
there
on.
There were people from both sides involved.
Yeah, of course. What about Clinton, bro? They got pictures of Bill Clinton, okay, getting a back rub from some girl. How nobody talks about this? Okay, let's be honest about it. And this bothers me. And I didn't dislike Bill Clinton. I voted for him. I didn't dislike.
Yeah, me either.
Okay, I didn't dislike him. Even the Monica Lewinsky. Okay, it was what it was. Let's be honest. He was. God knows what Jack Kennedy was doing in the White House.
Of course.
But whatever. Okay, but come on. Did you ever see the picture that was hanging in Epstein's apartment of Bill Clinton in like a blue dress with red heels? You ever seen that picture?
No, I haven't seen
that. It's a portrait. I'm sure you can find it online.
I'm sure.
It's a portrait of Bill Clinton in a like a slinky dress with red pumps on. Check it out. Nobody talks about that.
I got to put in Bill Clinton high heels.
Yeah, that
tight dress will come right up,
or a portrait with a dress on, or something like that. I'm sure you'll see it.
That one got by me, Joe.
You tell me Bill Clinton didn't go to that island a few times? Come on.
Well, you see, to me, you go behind, everybody having affairs, screwing around and whatnot. When you're dealing with the kids, with pedophiles, that's a whole different ballgame. That's the whole different. That's the difference.
I'm not saying Bill. I don't know if anybody did anything with these young girls. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I know Don didn't, even though they want you to. They tried to get that narrative out there, even though because that's just what they do.
I think the president had his arm around, or not maybe not the arm, stood next to him in a photo.
Yeah.
But that can happen anytime.
No, there's pictures of him with him. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But that's it. That's all they had. There's nothing. They got nothing on him. So whatever, it doesn't matter. That's look, and even to all these stupid liberal judges that have tried to stop him in every way, shape, and form, no matter what it is. Even the crap going on now with these narco-terrorist boats coming in from Venezuela, right? That they're blowing these boats up, right? And they're making a big deal that there was these two guys that were still alive, right? That were hanging onto the boat, that they basically got rid of them too. Really? Is it? And this is what they care about. They don't care about the fentanyl coming into the country and killing all these people. And I'm talking about the left. You know what I'm talking about. They don't care about
All
these
right.
people.
All right. Cindy just handed me the picture of Clinton in a blue dress.
Did you see it? There it
I don't
is.
know. I don't know if anybody. I don't know if it's big enough for people to, or you can
Well,
even
I've seen
catch
it,
that.
so yeah, there it is. Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, he looks very sweet
Bro,
in
what
that
is?
blue
Are you kidding?
dress.
Could you imagine? No, seriously. Could you imagine if there was something out like that of Don? Don, could you? First of all, could you ever imagine Don wearing a dress? That ain't happening. Okay,
No,
we know
I
that.
don't. I don't see it. I don't see it.
No, no, no. But could you imagine if that picture, like something like that, was found on Don? That's all.
Yeah,
That's all they'd ever talk about. He'd be
I
getting
know.
killed to the max. Come on.
Conveniently, they cover things up. The
Of
things they want to
course.
cover up, they cover up, Joe.
Of course.
It's just the way it goes. Do you think the ice guys are handling things with too heavy a hand? Or you like
No,
what they're doing?
no, I think a lot of that comes from them. If you think that ICE is taking these grandmas that have been here for 20 years and might be here illegally and shipping them out of the country, you're out of your mind. That's not happening.
Hmm.
They want you, the media, which of course is in bed, basically a wing of the Democratic Party, they want you to believe that. But that's how many of these terrorists have they gotten out of the country, bro? They've done an unbelievable job, ICE, and they're being treated like they're the Gestapo, you know, like they're
I think on
Nazis.
that one front, that's the best he's done as far as
Yeah.
closing the
Oh yeah.
borders, and
No
getting some
question
of
about it.
these rotten characters out of the country.
Yeah. And he's trying to
That's
get rid of
number one. That's
Maduro
number
now.
one in my book.
And right, it is. And he's trying to get rid of Maduro now. He's trying to get rid of him in Venezuela. He actually called. I guess they talked on the phone the other day, and yeah, I guess Don kind of read him the riot act. But they got all this stuff down right off the coast of Venezuela. They got all these big boats,
Yeah.
warships, whatever, So look, Don's doing a tremendous job. And this idea about affordability, let me talk about this too, because this is the big deal.
Hmm.
Affordability, and he can't get the prices down. Of course, this was all created by Biden and the Democrats, but he's been president almost a year. He's taken the hit for it. Almost 80 million people traveled. A record amount of people were traveling over the Thanksgiving weekend. If the
Hmm.
economy is so bad, how are these people, how is everybody, 80 million people, being able to fly and go here and go all over the place? I mean, there's so many different
Yep.
examples of that. I saw where a Cyber Monday, and I didn't see the exact numbers on it, it was Monday, this past Monday. They expected the biggest amount of sales ever on Cyber Monday. So if the economy is so damn bad, like everybody wants, it's unaffordable, and you can't buy eggs, and you can't buy meat, and you can't buy. How is people? How is that possible? How's people spending that money? It's
Well,
all BS, bro.
travel's down. Travel expenses are down. Gas is down.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
How much are you
What are
paying
you
for
paying
gas
for
in
gas in
Jersey, right?
Florida? What do you right now? You can get gas. It's between. I would say you can get it between, depending where you go, anywhere from like 295 to like 271
You know something? We're way down. 252 the other day.
in Florida. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there you
Yeah.
go. Now I know there's
All right.
places like California where it's still like $5 a gallon, which is just incredible when you
Yeah,
think
it's
about it.
outrageous.
But gas is down. Of course it is. And just wait.
But I have to say, I'll play devil's advocate in the
Mhm.
supermarket, Joe. Sky
Yeah.
high.
Yeah, it's still up.
I don't know how much of that is in the president's hands. I'm not blaming it
Right.
on him, but still in all, you spend a
Well, you know
fortune in the
what though? I would
supermarket.
say here's what I would say, Ralph. Let's see where we are. Let's say by the springtime. Once he gets this big, beautiful bill in motion in the first of the year, once these tariffs, I mean, look at all this money he's brought in with these tariffs. I mean, he's brought like billions. He was even talking about giving out $2,000 rebates to people, that weren't making a lot of money. Now, I don't think that's going to happen because it's being shot down by, a lot of people in the Republican Party don't want to see that happen. Whatever, but let's see where we are. I would say by the summer. Let's see what things are by the summer. I really
Everything
believe
takes
that.
time.
Yep.
Everything takes time.
Yep. Yep.
Any one of these cabinet members that you don't care for?
Any of the cabinet members I don't get.
Any
I
one of
don't think
his appointees? Any
I
one
don't
of
think
these?
Pam Bondi. I don't think Pam Bondi's done a tremendous job. I
Why
really
is
don't.
that? Why is that, Joe?
I think there's a few things which she's kind of dropped the ball a little bit. The whole Epstein thing, she made a big deal about Epstein right off the bat, and then, oh well, there's really nothing, basically saying there's really nothing there. And that led to all the nonsense. You know what I mean? Like, oh, they're trying to cover something up, you know? So I think that wasn't handled correctly. You know, you're hearing now about Cash Patel. You're hearing things about Cash Patel that, you know, maybe, you know, he's a little out there running the FBI, him and Dan Bongino. You know, I don't know if you read Miranda Devine's column. She does a great job in the New
No,
York
when you
Post.
say out there, what do you mean out there?
Well, apparently there's a rumor around um, that when the day Charlie Kirk was assassinated, okay, he flew out to Utah and he wouldn't get off the plane, okay, the FBI plane, until he had one of these special vests. Apparently, he didn't bring his with him, and he made they had to go out and look for somebody to have this vest out there. Finally, he got one. I guess it was from this is the story from Miranda. Finally, he got the vest. I guess it was a woman's vest, and then these certain patches weren't on it. And apparently, he had to take a couple of the guys with him that had the vests at the FBI or whatever, had to give him these patches. I don't know. And then he finally got off the plane. Who knows? Who knows? But
Yeah,
then,
yeah.
but Miranda also pointed out that there's still a lot of resistance in the FBI. There's still a lot of anti-Trump sentiment in the FBI. So, you know, Patel is going up against a lot of crap there too. So who knows, bro? I mean, look, I think Rubio's done a tremendous job. I think Pete, for all the crap he's taken, Hegseth has done a tremendous job. No BS in the Army. You know, forget the woke crap. Forget all of that, DEI nonsense. You know, we want real men and real women in the Army. That's what we want. Okay. You know, nothing else. Okay. If you can't pass the physical, you can't be here. Okay. I think Hegseth is really done a really good job. I think Scott Bessent he's a very weird guy, but I think he's really done a good job as far as the Treasury is concerned. I think Tulsi Gabbard's done a good job. What she's done, I think Kennedy's doing a good job with all this Maha. With all trying to make America healthy again. I think for the most part, the cabinet has done a really good job. I think Brooke Rollins has done a really good job. Getting the egg prices down and everything that she's been able to do. So I think Kristi Noem has done a terrific job in Homeland Security. I mean, not only is she extremely attractive, but she's tough as nails. You know what I mean? So I think
You
she's
like her?
really done a really good job with the Homeland Security. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I'm happy with them. I got to say, I think JD Vance, I like him. I like him a lot. I think he's going to, and what you hear if you listen to Don, ticket's going to be JD and Rubio. That's what it looks like,
Now,
in
now,
28.
not your heart, but in your mind, that your true feelings. Who do you think is going to be the next president? I mean, we're so
You
far
know,
out, but if you had to get your crystal ball right
I
today,
think I think it's too early to really say.
you can't even make a prediction, right?
All I know is we're in trouble if whoever the Democrat is wins. That I will say that we're in trouble.
Okay.
All right,
And
that
Mom
I really
Donnie
feel.
Mom Donnie meets with Mayor Adams for the first time.
Well, how about Mondami meeting with Don? We didn't talk about that. How about that?
Let's talk about that quickly. Go
It
ahead.
was like a love fest. It was like
I know
a
what now.
romance.
Now, what's his strategy with that, Joe?
See, what I think Don loves New York City. And he wants to be on top of Mondami because he doesn't want New York City to go to shit. And I think that's a big reason. I think he also respects Mondami from the fact, because if you remember, if you saw the meeting when they talked that day, he kept saying, this guy, all of a sudden he was behind in the polls 5 points. Next thing he's 5 points up. Next thing he's 20 points up. And like Don was like, wow, that's was like impressed by that. So, but I think Don really, wants to be on top of New York, and he wants to keep a finger on this guy, keep a thumb on this guy. And like the great Don Corleone said, and I got him right here, by the way. Let me bring the
Yeah,
Don
let's
in.
see.
Here he
Let's
is.
see, Don.
Here's Don Corleone. There he
There,
is.
that's fantastic.
the great Don
The
Corleone.
great,
Like he
the
once
great
said,
Brando.
like right, what exactly, the great Marlon Brando. Like he once said in The Godfather, I guess it wasn't actually it was Michael that said it. He said, Pop always told me right here in this room, keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer.
That's
And I
right.
think that's exactly what Don is doing. And I think Don realizes that this guy's got a lot of juice and that he's becoming the face of the Democratic Party. Let's be honest about it. I hate to say that, but like I said, that's where all the excitement in the Democratic Party is with the left wing, like I said, AOC, Mondami, thank God this dizzy broad down in Tennessee didn't win.
Yeah.
Thank God. Okay. But that's where the juice is. And I think Don recognizes, Mondami's got something and he's got to make sure he stays on top of that. And I think that's all part of it. I really do.
Well, now that he's gotten in, Mamdani, now he's
Yep.
gotten in, he's going to find he can't do all these things.
Right.
He's going to
That's right.
slowly. I think he knows it. He has to know it. Maybe it was
Yeah.
just to get elected. Who knows what his strategy
Right.
was?
Well, where's the money
But
coming
now,
from?
do you
Are
think
really
you're going
gonna
to see
tax
the
rich?
same? Do you think we're going to see a better version than we think of this guy, or just more of the same?
I don't know what we're going to see. I don't know. I think it remains to be seen. I really do. But
Okay.
I think, like I said, I think Don's going to be on top of it. And look, if he starts getting off the rails, then he ain't going to get any money from the government. I mean, I can tell you right now, that's not going to
That's
happen.
true. That's got to be on his mind. I
Yep.
mean, that had to be in his mind when he went to go meet with him.
But I give Mondami credit for meeting with Don, and I give Don credit for meeting with Mondami. And that's one thing about Don. Don will talk to anybody. He'll meet anybody. Yeah, he met with Putin. He met with Xi Jinping when he went to China. He met with the Crown Prince Ben Salman in Saudi Arabia, and he came here. He's met with all these leaders, man. He was
Yeah.
on the phone with Maduro the other day. He was actually
Yeah.
talked to him on the phone. This is part of this is part of really to me the greatness of Trump.
Yeah, you
He'll
can't
talk to
alienate.
anybody.
You can't alienate
No,
your enemies. You got to talk
no.
to your enemies.
Yep,
It's a good
yep,
strategy. I always
yep,
from that. I was from always from that side of the aisle.
yep,
Whenever Reagan would meet with all the adversaries, I would
yeah,
always applaud.
yeah,
Nixon was the same way.
yep,
And,
yep.
the beleaguered Nixon that
Look,
in
let me
down
tell
in
you right now.
history.
Let's be
You know,
honest. You look back. Back to 1972 and the Watergate and all of that. Yeah, if Nixon was a Democrat, you would have never known about it. It would have never happened.
that was a relatively small issue.
Yeah. What do you think about it?
That was really pretty
Right.
benign, don't you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah, and he was a damn good president. He really was. Nixon was a good president. He really was. I mean, look
Well,
what he did. He
I've
stopped the
had
Vietnam War. He ended the Vietnam War. I mean, he got to
well,
give him
his
some credit for
relations
that.
with China,
That's
he
right.
he did
Yep.
many good things. And
Yep.
whenever you think of Nixon, everybody thinks of Watergate. It's really a shame because
Yeah.
he did some
He
darn
did.
good things. I thought.
He did. Yep.
I
Yep.
thought. Well, Cindy says hi, and he was my audience the entire time,
Hi,
and
Cindy. God bless you, Cindy. We love you. We
and
love your
she
husband. Nice
and
job
she
coming up with the Bill Clinton picture. Good work.
yeah, we need a visual. We need a visual. So she gave me the visual. Joe, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much again. And the Pain podcast. And when do you put those out? Monday and Friday?
Monday and Friday. Yeah. This Friday, I'm going to
You,
have Zach Braziller of the New York Post. We're going to break down the college football playoffs and everything coming up. So a lot of stuff
okay.
going on with that. So the
And then
Lane Kiffin
You're on
disaster.
with Tiki and Evan. What day are you on with Tiki and Evan?
Monday
Mondays
after
too.
the Jet games.
And then I had forgotten that you took the week off. I was ready to dial that you
Yeah,
had
I'll
a
be on
substitute
Saturday.
on time.
I'll be back
Okay.
Saturday. We'll see how
Saturday
much
morning,
longer I'm going to
5
do that.
a.m., 4 a.m. for me.
4 a.m. for you. Yeah.
Joe, thanks, man.
God bless, bro. Cindy, God bless. All the love. God bless
Same
America,
to you.
guys.
Take care. Thank you.
All right, man. See you.